Right.
Nancy, I think I'm crack in there.
Whenever Bill Clinton was caught with his hand in the cookie jar, lying to the American people, he had done already become an impeached president on one level. But rather than move him completely out of the president's seat, the way that it was explained to me is that Bill Clinton had done already reached a point with Congress that he was going to unveil a lot of other immoral sexual activity that was going on with certain people in the Union. And once they identified that he was probably going to really do this, they backed off and they said, well, let's not take him out of his seat towards him being president, but he will continue to be an impeached president. My feelings of concern about Trump is that Trump is so perturbed in everything that has went on in the past month or so pertaining to the impeachment trials that he's liable to not just threaten to do the very same thing that Bill Clinton threatened to do, but Mr. Trump is liable to actually do it. And if you go through this, I'm going to call it a mud slinging contest, that you're going to throw mud on this one and you're going to dig up mud on that one and you're going to throw mud on this one, it could turn into a free-for-all up there in the White House.
It ain't gonna get that far. It won't get that far.
Well, who did you say wound up getting killed during Bill Clinton's administration?
His name was Vincent Foster.
All right.
He was part of the Watergate. He was part of the Iran-Contra problems.
Before that occurred, you are aware that there was a lot of people claim that there was some illegitimate moments that happened in Bill Clinton's administration from the time he left the governor over there in Little Rock. From the time he became president, there was several people that mysteriously just up and disappeared.
That's right. Okay, Google, who was Vincent Foster?
According to Wikipedia, Vincent Walker Foster Jr. was a deputy White House counsel during the first 6 months of President Bill Clinton's administration.
Okay, what happened to Vincent Foster? Okay, Google, what happened to Vincent Foster?
Sorry, I can't find news on Vincent Foster.
Okay, Google, what happened to the White House counsel Vincent Foster and his death?
My apologies. I don't understand.
They even suppressed that. Okay, Google, is Vincent Foster dead?
The cause of death of Vince W. Foster was suicide. Vince W. Foster died on July 20th, 1993. Vince W. Foster died in Fairfax County, Virginia.
All right. Who was it that committed suicide while sitting in the parliament seat during Bill Clinton's administration? They found the gun, and it looked like the appearance that this guy committed suicide. Who was that? Ask Google.
Okay, Google, who committed suicide in our government?
Sorry, I don't understand.
During Bill Clinton's administration.
Okay, Google, during the Clinton administration, who committed suicide?
Sorry, I don't understand.
Okay, Google, was there any suicides committed in our government during the Clinton administration?
Sorry, I don't understand.
Okay, Google, what were the Clinton administration suicides?
I don't understand.
See there? They suppressed that, Judy. I'm telling you right now, man, they're suppressing Google information about that stuff. They won't let you have anything.
Well, I know they're suppressing a lot of people's social media platforms, that people that find out the truth about what's been said or what's been done on the media.
Okay, Google, who is Theodore Gunderson?
According to Wikipedia, Theodore L. Gunderson was an American Federal Bureau of Investigation special agent in charge and head of the Los Angeles FBI. According to his son, he worked the case of Marilyn Monroe and the John F. Kennedy cases. He was the author of the best-selling book How to Locate Anyone Anywhere Without Leaving Home.
Ask Google what his analogy was pertaining to the assassination of JFK.
Okay, Google, did Theodore Gunderson speak about the assassination of JFK?
And what was it?
Sure. According to Wikipedia, Theodore L. Gunderson was an American Federal Bureau of Investigation special agent in charge and head of the Los Angeles FBI. According to his son, he worked the case of Marilyn Monroe and the John F. Kennedy cases. He was the author of the best-selling book How to Locate Anyone Anywhere Without Leaving Home.
He's repeating himself.
Yeah.
Google's repeating himself.
Okay, Google, was Theodore Gunderson chief of the FBI in Memphis, Tennessee?
According to Wikipedia, in 1973 he became the head of the Memphis FBI office and then the head of the Dallas FBI office in 1975. Ted Gunderson was appointed the head of the Los Angeles FBI in 1977.
See, Juby, he was chiefs in all Dallas, Memphis, and California. Chief.
Okay, Google, what was the final analogy pertaining to Mr. Gunderson's results in the JFK assassination?
Sorry, I'm not sure how to help.
I'll tell you.
Ask it again.
Okay, Google, did Ted Gunderson speak about the JFK assassination?
My apologies, I don't understand.
They won't reveal stuff like that.
Hey, Google, what was the final analogy of the JFK assassination and who was in behind it?
Sorry, I'm not sure how to help.
Okay, Google, did Ted Gunderson reveal any illicit sexual trades among our government agents?
My apologies, I don't understand.
Okay, Google, did Ted Gunderson expose anything?
My apologies, I
See?
don't understand.
I tell you, Juby, they will not reveal nothing, man, to the general public about what's done.
It's a cover-up, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a cover up.
It's a cover-up, just like the Oklahoma bombing. To this day, they're still not revealing the truth in behind what actually killed almost
You gave me a
100,
number now.
almost
You
175
gave me a
people.
number.
You did? I give you?
Yeah,
I got one too.
you got it, okay.
To this day, they're still not revealing the true truth about what actually took out 175 people in the Oklahoma bombing.
I know.
Did you know the 25th anniversary is coming up this April?
Well, I know one thing, you better not go out there celebrating it. Because it won't
You
come
might
back
get
home.
They might get you.
Why, shit. Yeah, Juby, what's a step foot in that damn place out there?
If I was to step foot back in the state of Oklahoma, I would be jeopardizing my life.
Hell yeah, just stay the hell out of there.
Just the fact that I brushed up against something that tremendous and that sensitive would be the only way that I would agree to go back to the state of Oklahoma if the governor herself, in which I don't know if Miss Mary is still the governor or not. I think her name's Miss Mary. She used to be the female governor of the state of Oklahoma. But the only way that I would agree to go back would be to be fully exonerated from what was said and what was done in my life in 2009 if I wind up back in Oklahoma City,
They're
Oklahoma.
not gonna admit nothing.
That would be the only way that I would wind up back in the state of Oklahoma City, or just in the state of Oklahoma, period. I don't care what part of Oklahoma it'd be in. I wouldn't go back unless I had a guarantee that I was being exonerated and that all that stuff that had been said about me was all incorrect and negative. Was all a bunch of made up stuff. All that negativity that they brought out about me. Do you blame me?
Juby,
Do you blame me? Would you go? Would you voluntarily go back to Oklahoma after?
You'd be a damn fool.
I'm almost a fool by going up in the state of Kentucky because of what they done to me up there in Kentucky. I gotta slip in and slip out.
Really? Even now?
Yes, because they supposedly got a bill that I owe them in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, Christian County, for me staying in jail up there. They're mixed up there in Kentucky. They charge people. It's, if you're in any other state, per day, if you got a fine, they deduct like $20 a day off your fine.
Except Kentucky.
In Kentucky, they do just the opposite. They add charges to your fine.
Was that in the federal jail?
No, that's in their state.
It's their state jails.
Keep in mind, that's the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
They don't even have legal bondsmen in the state of Kentucky. You cannot hire a bondsman in the state of Kentucky. The only way that you can make bond is that you have to have a cash bond or you got to own property in the state of Kentucky that's valued at the amount that your bond is set for. That's the only way that you can become free during the process of your.
I can't even open that damn safe with the combination she's on wicked.
But that's the only way that you can fight your case outside of jail.
Sure did.
Paperwork. I want that Popular Mechanics that I stored in there.
It's in here?
Yep, should be.
I don't know.
Yeah, it should be.
Popular Mechanics?
I think, or Mechanics Illustrated, I forget which one it is.
And what was you telling me that was in this book?
I don't think in here.
What was you
Two
te-
sheets.
What was you explaining to me that was in this book?
Yeah, when you read it, you're gonna find out
Well, what is
what they did to you.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
They've done to others?
Yeah.
How many others?
Don't know.
Hundreds? Dozens? Thousands? How many others have they tried to ruin
Well, that's
similar
not-
to me?
That's not been determined yet.
I don't think so, Lord.
They're repressing that too?
Huh?
They're repressing that information too?
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Mary, you remember when I made copies of it?
It's a copy?
You remember when I copied it on my printer and put it on my computer? And I had the originals.
I don't know.
The magazine cover.
I know that, but
Yeah, give me that paperwork right there. Is that all the paperwork?
there's plenty of paperwork.
Probably some of that.
I don't know where it is.
All my old coins are still in there.
I don't remember that stuff.
Sorry. I've got it.
Turn on some better light.
Hey, you'd be lucky to get lights better than this.
He can't see good.
No, that light is there.
Do you need your cheaters on?
Not really, because I can recognize it a mile off.
Do you even have any cheaters?
I don't think it's in here. 'Cause
Mary, I'm so sorry about your people of that storm that desecrated their area yesterday. What was that, a Category 3 hurricane or typhoon, or what was that?
Yeah, our house got
You
burned.
need to be dancing.
What kind of storm was it?
It's typhoon. It's typhoon.
Typhoon?
Typhoon season nowadays. So,
You know the difference between a typhoon and a hurricane, don't you?
yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Could you explain it to me real quick?
Well, the hurricane is just like come and go. This
It
one
might be
is just
some of that stuff there.
rain and rain and rain and then until it becomes strong.
The way that I understand it, Mary, is that a
I
hurricane,
don't say it.
a hurricane this side of the equator, over here in America, goes clockwise. It spins from the left to the right. Once you go down below the equator, the typhoons go from right to left. They go counterclockwise. Is that the way you understand it too?
Yeah, sinks do that too.
Huh?
Sinks, water in the sink does the same thing.
In other words, whenever you flush the commode, whenever you flush your toilet, instead of the water going counterclockwise, it I mean, instead of it going clockwise, it goes counterclockwise down there? Huh? Can you feel the geographical pressures in it being different whenever you're down there?
I don't think so. I think it's all the same.
I mean, can you actually feel like the gravity being more pressurized down there? Or does it all feel the same?
Well,
Because you've been, I ain't never been down there.
in her country,
Do you feel lighter? Do you feel heavier?
No.
Same thing?
It's the only difference in her country, Judy, that I found out was that the weather acts differently on your skin.
On your skin.
Skin. Your, it pulls the skin.
Because it's a drier climate?
Uh,
Huh? Well, you can find that up here in Phoenix, Arizona, or up in the hills of the Rocky Mountains, or New Mexico, because you're in a higher elevation, and the higher the elevation that you are, the closer you are to the sun. The closer you are to the sun, the more apt that you are to be to get burnt by the sun, to feel the sun rays in a more predominant way.
is this where they spell? This is the one where they spell that president's name wrong on the paper.
I don't see
on the
where is
bill.
that stuff, Lloyd.
I've got it somewhere.
It's not on the safe.
Jimmy, as soon as they land on the moon, land on Mars, and confirm that there was another race there, you know what I'm worth? You know what I'm worth?
What are you going to be worth? Millions?
These will be worth $5,000 to $50,000 a piece, and I've got 30-something of them.
What is these?
Stamps. Stamps with the face on Mars.
It's a collector stamps. Huh?
Yep. And I've got other things too that I've got lots of shit in here that's really valuable, but only for collectors.
You said you had some coins too. What kind of coins you
I
got?
just got some from Jamaica and different places.
Civil War? You got any old Civil War stuff?
No, I ain't got anything like that. These set face on Mars.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And I've got the originals. Ordered by the Feinstein Foundation in Pennsylvania. And Feinstein Foundation issued these as a charitable drive for children.
Really?
And they sold thousands and thousands of them. And it was limited. See, like this is limited. This is it's the hand stamp right here. It says I think it says a search for life on Mars. And this is old.
How old?
Well, give me my glasses, Mary.
Where is that?
In the room. I think. Yeah.
In the 60s?
Real Deal Neals Collectibles.
In the 60s?
No, let me see. This is the date. I should have a date on this somewhere.
What's he talking about in that magazine? Do you remember?
I remember the magazine, but I don't know where it was.
This is Viking First Lander on Mars,
It might be
1978.
upstairs. Who knows?
1978.
88, 98,
You can
2008, 30. About 40 years old.
Uh-huh.
There it is right now.
you
And it's
can
hand
pull out
stamped,
your email.
1978, July 29. First day of issue.
What made you interested in wanting to collect something like that?
Mr.
Did you,
Elliott
did
Beers.
you realize or believe at one time we was actually going to land on Mars? Has that always been your desire or your dream?
My friend Elliott Beers,
Yeah,
the one that left me his stuff,
yeah.
he was the one that got me involved in that.
But I mean, have you always had a passion for us going to Mars?
Oh, of course. I wanna see what Mars is like too, like everybody else. I ain't been in these in so long that I don't even know what they're worth. This is something here. But, oh, these are the numbers, like when they first printed it
Serial
Money.
numbers,
in their country.
authenticity
Yeah.
numbers.
00001. That's the first one. First one rolled off the assembly in her country.
What made you turn into a collector?
Mr. Beard got me involved in it a long time ago when he was alive.
Right?
But I'm not a collector of everything, Judy. I'm only a collector of things that I think are
Value of
Yes,
so going to be a value or have been a value.
you. And, like here, I got one single stamp just there,
Right?
and it was sent to me by. Anyways, here's the name: Ronald Jordan. Ronald Jordan.
Huh.
His name is Ronald M. Jordan.
Well, tell me what was in that magazine, just in case you don't find that magazine and you
I'm gonna
change
find
the train of
I'm
thought.
gonna find it.
It's not that on that thing, Lord.
I will find it.
But
You
can
can
you?
pull out your email or something.
But can you not audibly tell me as
Well-
you're looking?
Back, you remember what they call the X-Files.
Yes.
Okay, you remember how they were classified. Nobody could see them, right?
Right.
Why?
Why?
Why do you think so?
I think because the government was inferior towards people finding out the truth that there is life beyond this life, and that it could possibly start a panic or an uproar on the planet to the point that it would cause civil unrest.
Now,
I think that was their original reason.
all right.
You do know that just within the past 5 years, Russia has released a great deal of information on extraterrestrial pertaining, and if you watch the History Channel, you'll see this, that is now becoming more transparent of real life that has been discovered pertaining to extraterrestrial. And if you'll take the History Channel, going all the way back to the Egyptian era, in different symbols and different things that they have dug up and found, you will find that a great deal of their material historically that they have found helps to support or verify that it had to have been some sort of extraterrestrial that made these designs and that created the pyramids and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So various governments have known this for quite some time, but they wanted to keep it from the public because they was afraid of hysteria. Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, so the X-Files were not open to the public. They were concealing information. So there was so much pressure from the people that they had to open up, expose the X-Files eventually, Freedom
Right.
of Information Act.
Right?
But before then, they went in, had a team of people to go in and take out certain files that they did not want anybody to see.
Not only that, but anybody associated with the military at the time, it didn't matter if it was Navy, Air Force, Army, whoever, they had to be sworn off of never ever giving out information towards what that they had seen or heard or experienced in the name of the United States government. And if they ever did, they was possibly going to suffer great retribution from the government of exposing the truth about these events.
Okay, guess what happened?
What happened?
Mechanics Illustrated or either Popular Mechanics, I forget which one it was,
It's
Actually, was it what, Mary?
it's what's that? Mechanics.
Mechanics Illustrated?
Yeah.
Well, they sent their journalist out there to examine the files,
Okay.
looking for something pertaining to the Roswell UFO incident, right?
All right.
But when they got there and started going, they didn't find anything hardly at all.
I'm surprised they got in there because all that's secured, and
Oh.
they will shoot you on sight
But
if
were
they feel
allowed-
like that you're threatening them, because we have military bases out there.
They were allowed to do that. Now, since they were allowed to do that,
They were allowed to go on the base.
no, they were allowed to go into the X-Files.
Oh man, that must have taken an act of Congress.
That was declassified.
That had to take an act of Congress.
Declassified.
Uh-huh.
It's worth $5,000 to $50,000 when we land on Mars and say, yes, there was a civilization here. That stamp guarantees it by the ones that made it.
So let's get back to
So
what
anyway,
we're talking about here.
When they were declassified, they went out there to take a look at everything. When they got out there, they found this one particular file that they missed and didn't conceal it. They opened it up and there it was. Our good old government was hiring and paying doctors money and giving them everything they wanted on this earth to experiment on prisoners, women, and children. And I've got it black and white. Central Bank of Iraq, 25,000. I ain't on. That's just one of them.
What's the odds of the authenticity of this paperwork that you're looking at towards it being real?
Well, if it come out of the magazine, it wouldn't be allowed to print it, would it?
Not necessarily. There's fake news gets printed up every day.
No, I ordered the magazine, Judy.
But what I'm saying is, what's the authenticity of it being real? Just because it wound up in a magazine don't make it real. There's fake news that gets printed up every day.
Well, nobody's ever rebutted it, put it that way. Nobody.
Do you believe that there was hidden historical facts pertaining to extraterrestrial?
Yes, I do. Even Apostle Paul said, brethren, I'll give you a secret. There are terrestrial beings, there are heavenly beings, and there are celestial beings.
That's over in Hebrews in there, is Ezekiel or
What's that tell
somewhere.
you right there, Judy?
I've read that before.
Yep, that's right.
So in
That's
other
all the
words,
truth.
he was familiar with the supernatural, and he was familiar with the development of other beings other than human beings.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what he seen or heard or felt to express himself as a writer in that way. You think he actually had an encounter?
Yeah, he said, I once knew a man, whether he was caught up in the third heaven, I know not.
What does that mean?
Terrestrial, celestial, and heavenly. Got three heavens. You got earthly heaven, that we live on. You got celestial heaven, the stars are in. And you got what? A heavenly heaven. A real heaven. The ultimate heaven. Heaven where God lives.
That's the throne of God, is what you're talking about.
Throne of God.
Because even Jesus told us to pray
Mm-hmm.
concerning the throne. Did he not?
Yep.
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come.
Mm-hmm.
Thy will be done.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, that's God's kingdom up there in that heaven that you're talking about, that goes beyond anything that Hubble or anything that NASA or anything that any of our greatest technologies can ever find or transfer back to Earth. That is a
Check it.
that is a heaven that we may not never know of until we actually go there in spirit form. What is this coin?
Spanish.
Spanish coin.
Mexico. I think.
What's the year on this thing? $1900.
I don't know which one.
It says 1900 right here.
1900.
Wonder what that thing's worth. That's real silver too, because silver tarnishes like that.
Okay, Google, what is the Iraqi dinar worth now?
One Iraqi dinar is approximately $0.
Ain't worth nothing.
Ain't worth nothing.
Uh-uh.
Well, what are you doing with it?
I bought them when they.
If it ain't worth nothing, what you got it for? If you're a collector?
At the time I bought them, there was a hype that it was going to be worth a lot because our government, United States, was going to go back under Saddam Hussein and raise the dinar. And they didn't do it.
Who told you that?
The government, the federal government, issued they were going to back them up and restore them.
Really?
And they got everybody to buy that money in hopes that it would make them some money.
Yeah.
And I got friends that bought tons of it, man, millions.
Really?
Yep.
And now they're stuck with a.
Fake, nothing. Just like our dollar bills, someday, Juby, they'll be thrown in the street.
Oh yeah, it says that in the Bible that they're going to take their silver and gold and throw it into the streets.
Right.
Now the next question is this: if we're going to take our silver and gold and throw it into the streets, what's going to replace our currency as we know it? What's going to replace it? I'm going to tell you what's going to replace it.
What?
Digital currency. And we're right at the brink of it fixing to occur. Towards basically walking into a complete, total cashless society. And I ain't talking about the euro. I ain't talking about some other kind of encrypted currency. I'm talking about a digital currency. Probably similar to Bitcoin. Are you familiar with Bitcoin?
That's the biggest scam that ever hit the world.
I don't know. People's making money off of it every day.
Yeah, but wait till it collapses.
But how about if it don't collapse?
It will collapse.
How about if it doesn't collapse?
If it don't, there's going to be a lot of people rich. But you know what? It's going to collapse. It will not last.
I just don't think that they've figured out yet what they want to do whenever it comes to a digital currency. Do you?
Nope. Jimmy, these are called Sierra Leones. Saluting the coming exploration of Mars. First day issues. First day covers, not issues, but
Can I ask you a question? Do you really think that we're going to go to Mars?
you damn straight we're going to Mars.
What makes you think that?
Because we've got too much money invested right now.
We can get to here to the moon in 3 days.
Yeah, and we can get here to Mars in 4 months now.
I thought it was more like 6 months.
Now, they didn't spend a lot of money on the new engines they got out.
Yeah. But even a 4-month journey and a 4-month there and 4-month back, that's 8 months that you're going to have to be in a tiny, tiny capsule, hoping that you're going to hit your target and hoping that you're going to land successfully and hoping that you're going to take off successfully.
That's the question they're coming up with right now.
But that's almost a year that you're going to have to be captivated in a little capsule living in space during that whole time. That means you're going to have to eat, you're going to have to sleep, you're going to have to use the bathroom, you're going to eventually going to have to shave, you're going to have to have some sort of a sponge bath. I mean, come on.
Most of them are going to be automated. They're going to be put into a deep sleep, and they're going to have them. The way they'll do it is they'll have 2 or 3 or 4 that are maintaining a shift, and then they'll be put under sleep. The others will be they'll wake them up, and they'll do that until they get there. And then once they're there, they'll wake up everybody and land. And it's all, you know what they got there already? Already waiting on them?
What?
Leon, what's his name? Elon Musk?
Yeah.
He's already got tons and tons of supplies already sent up there and landed. And they're not telling everybody this shit. But they're there. Stuff to set up structures, to buildings where they can go in and stay in. They're sending up there machines landed, like we would call them down here, bulldozers, whatever, but they're sending up construction machines.
Have you ever heard that they're going to start mining the moon? Because the moon's got minerals on it.
They're already mining it, man.
That will make fossil fuel out of?
They're mining it already.
They're not mining the moon.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
That's why the Bible says the moon will drip down like blood, which means it's going to be a war over the moon, what they find in there. The basis. It'll drip down like blood.
The word like means something similar. The word like don't mean that the moon's going to actually turn to blood.
Right. It'll be like blood, which means
That's right.
synonymous of
It'll be
war,
like.
spilling blood.
You know what's going to cause the moon to turn red?
Oh, well, that's normal. That's been like that for thousands of years.
But you know what's going to turn the moon red?
What?
Whenever God comes back on the first resurrection, He's going to come back for a blessing for the saints, but it's going to be a cursing for the wicked. And as he gathers up the elect from the four corners of the earth, He's not only going to be gathering them up, pertaining to the graves bursting and people being transliterated from mortal to immortal, but He's also going to burn down every structure, including this one that we're in right now.
Yeah.
He's going to burn her down to the ground.
Yeah, it won't mean nothing. No,
He's going to burn her down to the ground. He's going to start on one end of the planet and go all the way around the whole circle, burning down commercialized and residential properties. You know what's going to happen to all the smoke? It's going to go up into the atmosphere.
Well, like all
Have you ever burnt garbage? I know you have. Burnt garbage late in the afternoon or at night, and the moon being out, and look at the moon through black smoke. Do you know what it does to the whiteness of the moon?
What?
It turns it as red as blood.
Right.
Just like blood. That's where the redness of the moon's going to come from. Whenever God decides to strike a match and burn this thing down to the ground.
What is
You hear me?
What is dripping of the blood? What does it mean?
I ain't never read that where it says anything about dripping of the blood. Not in the New King James.
Wait.
Not in the New Bible.
Google, what does the Bible say about the moon dripping down in blood? Okay, Google, what does the Bible say about the moon dripping down in blood?
According to Wikipedia, the blood moon also is prophesied in the book of Revelation chapter 6 verses 11 to 13, where verse 12 states, "And I beheld when He had opened the sixth seal, and, lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood."
As blood. Or like blood.
Well, maybe
That
I'm
don't
wrong.
mean that it's going to turn into blood. It's just the color
Maybe I'm wrong.
pigments
You know what?
are going to
I
turn
thought I
into
read
the
that.
color of as blood. Well, what color is blood? As we know it.
Red.
It's red outside our bodies whenever it hits oxygen. Mary, I'm gonna get some of that banana pudding in just a minute.
Okay.
So don't put the banana pudding up. And thank y'all for this Christmas dinner. This was a very, very, it was fit for a king.
Oh,
You're an excellent cook.
I do that all the time.
Where did you learn to cook this way at, Mary?
Myself,
Huh?
by myself. I used to cook on my cousin's government.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Did your people over in the Philippines, did they teach you how to cook this way?
No, I just.
Because some of that stuff that I ate is not American made.
Yeah, that's my food.
Huh?
It's my own. All of this food is my own recipe.
But it's a derivative from your culture, right?
Yeah, some of it.
Some of it,
Mm.
like that rice that was wrapped up.
Yeah, that's our culture.
Okay, how do you make that?
It's you cook it first with coconut milk
Okay,
and like put in the rice cooker,
right.
and then after that you boil the brown sugar, then coconut milk and butter, and then you mix that rice on it until it gets dry.
What gives it the sweet taste?
The brown sugar.
The brown sugar. You know, that's kind of like that ointment that I put on that spider bite that I got on my neck. That ointment, I've never heard of the name of that ointment. What was it called again?
Tiger balm.
Thai bomb?
Tiger balm.
Tiger balm. Man, that took that spider bite right away. I can't even hardly feel it now in the back of my neck. Did you know that? It's gone.
Well, I told you.
It is gone.
Well,
How come we don't have stuff like that in our drugstores?
Because
because
it's
I
controlled by
found
them.
out in the Philippines over there, Judy,
By the
there's a lot of things. Man told me when I went with surgery over there,
Yeah,
he told me exactly what he was gonna do.
yeah.
He said, but we can inject you with a drug that will heal you 3 weeks to a month before it normally does in the United States. It'll heal you,
Really?
save your life. In other words, he said, we can save your life from any kind of infection or anything.
Really? So their medicine that they're practicing over there is advanced?
It's advanced.
Really?
Yep.
Well, how come we ain't brought it over here?
Because government
Because our
here is
government
control
don't
them.
want us to,
They want you to become like dead.
oh, here it is, Mary. Here's my graveyard, right here.
Yeah,
Set up, see, right
I
there.
put that in there.
Your rights to your graveyard?
Right there, see, there's my graveyard, surveyed out.
And you got that approved by the county?
Yeah, professional land
It's
service.
recorded already.
Is it recorded up here in the courthouse up here in Trenton?
Registered and
Yeah.
recorded. Yep.
Huh?
Yep,
Yeah,
Nothing,
What'd that cost you?
it's free.
it's done free. Every bit of it, survey and everything.
Really?
That's because of who I am, Judy.
Because who you are.
Who I am.
Well, who are you? Who are you? Maybe I don't know who I've been.
Person.
Maybe I don't know who I've been dealing with for the past few years.
Put it this way, I helped you out when you didn't even know it. And I can do it again. Unless you show your ass. And then it's beyond my grasp. So, I'm telling you,
Who are you associated with?
just me, who I am.
No,
No,
you're associated with some group or something.
no, I'm not. It's who I am.
Are you a Mason?
No, when I went into the courthouse.
Are you a Mason? The whole time you've been showing me all this stuff about Masons and Mason books and all this stuff. Are you a Mason?
No, I'm not a Mason. And I'm not a Hell's Angel either.
Promise me.
Promise you, I'm not a Mason. Now, when I was in the courthouse, the judge asked me point blank, Mr. Rogers, are you a member of the Hell's Angels? I thought, what the hell is he talking about? I said, no, sir, not that I know of.
You got special government ties.
Jimmy,
Didn't you tell me at one time that you had association with Secret Service?
well, I passed the test and got the job and turned it down, yeah.
Don't you have clients in other countries pertaining to lawyers and stuff like that?
Well, put it this way. The president of the Philippines, President Joseph Estrada at the time, I met his cousins and his family, and I went to his mother's house in San Juan district of Philippines.
Because of your wife.
No, because of me and my connections to Dr. Pedro Rivon, which is a world famous microsurgeon, now dead, deceased, gone. I was acquainted with his family, got to know Dr. Rivon. He invited me to Makati, he introduced me to 5-star generals. Yeah, he invited me there. And I was friends of Johnny Wilson, the vice mayor of Makati, Philippines. And then he was the movie star, matter of fact. I've been to his home, he's dead now, dead and gone. I learned about him involved in gun smuggling with the NPA, National Liberation Parties over there and stuff like that. Knew where he stored the guns on Siquijor Island. I knew his one of his secretaries, which was underneath him, that did his work for him.
Have you ever been a gun runner?
No.
You never been a gun smuggler?
No, and never will be.
Promise me.
Why, shoot, I'm not involved in any kind of criminal activity that I know of and never was.
You know a lot of people that
I
have
know
been.
A lot of people, that's right. And I've had a lot of them try to get me to be part of it, even the Masons. I was invited to become a Mason, and they're not supposed to do that. But now, under the book, a Master Mason can appoint you right now, right out in the middle of the street without going to the lodge or anything and ask you for you to join or anything, or if you go into the lodge and join, they can lay their hands on you and declare you a Mason if they want to. They know you first. Don't get me wrong. They're not just going to walk up to any stranger.
I'm gonna hit you with something, and I don't know if you know it or not.
What?
Do you know who the original Templars are?
The Knights Templars?
The Knights Templar,
I know what they were involved in.
pertaining to the Crusaders.
You know who Louis the Fifth and Sixth was?
You don't
Pertaining-
turn off
Louis
the
the Fourth?
light.
Pertaining to the
What?
Crusaders.
Turn off the light upstairs.
Okay, go ahead.
Pertaining to the Crusaders, the original Crusaders.
Well, you know what they was doing, don't you? The truth about what they were after? They were looking for the Holy Grail. They were looking for the name of Jesus.
Well, did you know that they can prove now that the Masons was actually part of that group?
What if I told you the ancient Egyptians were Masons? And what if I told you the ancient Mayans and the ancient Aztecs were Masons? That's right. They're old as the hills, buddy. They have an ancient.
That's old. That goes back before the Persian Empire, don't it?
Nimrod was a Mason.
Yeah.
He was a mighty hunter before the Lord.
Yeah.
He built the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
Constructed it.
Yeah.
So was Tubal-Cain, the greatest artificer in brass. He was a Mason.
He was a Mason. Well, you know, the book of Daniel is approximately 775 years BC before Christ. And it was during that time that Balaam and Balak was ruling the area over in the Middle East pertaining to the Persian Empire. Are you familiar with the hand that wrote on the wall?
Yeah, I'm very familiar with it.
Are you familiar with the teachings of Christ that said that whenever you shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet,
Right.
to know then we are at the doors?
Right.
Do you know what an abomination is?
No, the end.
Huh?
You'll know the end has come.
But do you actually know what an abomination is?
Abomination is a sickness to God. It's something that just repels the nostrils of God. That's an abomination.
Well, you can classify an abomination on the next step above being an infidel. Whenever it says in the Bible that he'll give you over to a reprobate mind, a reprobate, an infidel, and then you have another level that even is more, I guess you'd call it a mockery in the eyes of God, towards an abomination. And it's an embarrassment.
I think what happens
it's probably one of the most worst states that God can view humanity in, towards an abomination.
would you, Julie, if you seen a man get on his knees and take another man's penis out and put it in his mouth and suck on it, and lick on it, and drink his sperm, would you consider that an abomination?
Absolutely.
Would you like to see that man standing in the temple?
No, I would not.
Proclaiming himself to be God?
No, I would not.
That's the abomination God's talking about. He's going to be a homosexual.
But stands up and professes to be righteous.
Well, it said when the abomination of desolation enters into the temple, and how much more desolate can a human being be than to sit there and take
Do something
man
like that.
take another man's penis,
Oh,
and
man.
lick on it and drink it.
That's sickening.
That's the worst abomination I could think of.
Well, it's a pretty
How horrible.
strong abomination towards aborting all these children, unborn children.
Yeah, but we're talking about somebody alive and proclaiming that they're righteous.
Yeah.
You know, they're here to.
Do you know where that's going to come from? According to the Bible, the prophecies of the Bible, it's going to come from the Middle East, over there in the old Persian Empire area. And I don't know if it's actually going to come from Iran or Iraq or the Saudi Arabias or some of those other surrounding countries that surround Jerusalem. But I personally believe that it's going to come from Saudi Arabia, the very ones that
I don't know.
masterminded 9/11. Masterminded 9/11, because they are basically going to have the Antichrist spirit within their very carnal flesh that created their flesh. Just like the Holy Spirit created Jesus Christ, which was a holy, righteous man, and we know that he was without sin. This particular Antichrist entity has already created this individual, and this individual is walking and talking and has 2 hands, 2 arms, and 2 legs, and 2 feet, a head and a body, just like me and you.
Now, let me ask you a question.
And he's alive and well over in Saudi Arabia that masterminded 9/11.
Wait, now listen to this. What country allows homosexuality?
Saudi Arabia.
They allow it? I
Yes.
thought they killed everybody there that's homosexual. Yeah,
The women don't have no rights at all.
I know, but I don't think they allow. Wait a minute, excuse me. Okay, Google, is homosexuality against the law in Saudi Arabia?
My apologies. I don't understand.
Okay, Google, is homosexuality against the law in Arabia?
I don't understand.
Okay, Google, is there any laws against homosexuality in Arabia?
Sorry, I don't
They don't want
understand.
answers, Judy. I'm gonna tell you right now, that Satan has protected all these answers.
Uh-huh.
He's standing between the truth.
Well, the fact of the matter is, you know that we're talking right now, that Google can hear us talking. You do know that, right?
Okay, Google.
I mean, we're just openly exposing ourselves with this conversation, not just with my telephone listening to this conversation,
Okay,
but
Google.
Google sitting there listening to us.
Okay, Google, are there any homosexuals in Saudi Arabia?
I don't understand.
Full of them. It's full of them. I'm telling you right now, it's full of them. Saudi Arabia don't allow for the Bible to be preached in none of their streets. If you get caught with the Bible, the true King James Version Bible, you are substance of being arrested right there on the spot. And not only are you substance of being arrested, but you're substance of being executed right there on the spot. If you get caught with a holy Bible in your hand. Now, you can have any other kind of religion that you want. But don't get caught in that area with the teachings of the Lord Jesus Christ, because they look, in their eyes, they look at the teachings of Christ towards it being an abomination.
Okay.
That tells you how far behind or upside down that these people are in their theology or in their methodology. You know what I'm saying? They're twisted. They're upside down. And besides that, think about this for a second. What other religion is going to force physical violence upon another person just because they won't become a convert in their way of belief? It's the Muslims.
Okay.
It's the Muslims that does this.
What country allows homosexuality to the fullest, more than any other country?
I can't answer that question.
All right. That's where the abomination of desolation person will come from.
It's so widespread now. It's over in Germany. It's over in France. It's over in Canada. It's right here in America. Whenever Obama legalized it 4 or 5 years ago, it's so widespread, it's almost difficult to pinpoint which one would actually be the worst. You know, there was a time that they claimed that San Francisco had more homosexuals and more lesbian in it than any other area. But I guarantee you can go down to the Keys, listen to me, to the Keys of Florida, and there's more homosexuals and more lesbians in the Keys per square feet, per square yard, than it is in San Francisco.
So
It's so widespread.
the Antichrist will come from the United States.
The Antichrist what?
Will come from the United States.
No.
Yeah.
No, the Antichrist will come from the Middle East. And then afterwards there'll be a false prophet pertaining to the third seal. And then the actual Antichrist, we really haven't pinpointed that yet down of where that's going to come from, but some say that it may come from Rome through the Catholic Association. But I'm not going to go as far as pronouncing that, because God hasn't allowed for me to see that, to see how far that goes. But I do know that the Persian Empire is the very thing that God was talking about. That's nice.
Complete set.
The Persian Empire is the very thing that it's talking about in the first 4 chapters of Revelations towards the Babylonians. Balak.
Do you think
Balaam. That's the old Persian Empire, and according to this, if you look at what the teachings of the Bible of what Christ said, he said that over in the book of Revelations that the river of Euphrates, where the final battle will be fought, that the blood will be as deep as a horse's bridle. Oh, you got my boxing gloves on. We're gonna.
If you want.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Hey.
Boy, you look a little different.
Look, did you see what?
Did you good, huh?
Did you see what Amy got me?
Wow, you don't even look like Casey no more.
She just got back from Korea.
I got a recorder going right now.
All right.
Hello. Merry Christmas.
This is Melissa, Neil's girlfriend.
I got the recorder going. I got my recorder going right now. So y'all watch what you say and how you say it.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Where's Mary?
What is this coin? Because this coin here struck my eye.
Pearl Harbor.
This is Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
Really? What would you take for this?
Judy, I ain't got 2 of them left. The other mysteriously got away from me.
Right now, what would you take for?
It's probably worth about 500 right now. What'd you do with your TV?
I can't get that, man.
Solid gold.
I know.
And that's 1 ounce. You know what an ounce of gold is worth?
$5,300.
No. An ounce of gold ain't no. How much is an ounce of gold? How much is an ounce of gold right now? $1,800?
How much ounce of gold now, man?
8 ounces for $1.
Straight down the hallway.
She don't know.
No, I don't. I'm gonna guess 8 ounces.
You better sit down before you fall.
This is 1941.
Sit down, Mom.
This is a special
Was
edition.
$1?
Yep.
beautiful. It is beautiful.
That's the Pearl Harbor.
That
I would
is
think
beautiful.
8 ounces. Don't think it's 8 ounces.
I'm gonna go ahead and cut this recorder off because I wasn't sure
Sorry, I
that
don't know either.
that people was gonna be coming in here,
I'm sorry.
pertaining to what's being said here, because I don't want this,
Commemorative from all around the world.
right.
Lesotho.
Put this stuff
Nigeria.
away. Put this stuff away now. You don't know who's in the company of your company right
You
now.
don't know me either.
It's my,
Put this stuff
you
away.
know what? That's
Put it
that's his
away
daughter.
I won't think twice about
Put it away. All of it.
It ain't nothing here.
The conversation's over with.
Hey,
4 or 5 people have
It's my
slipped in here on
father.
top of us,
it's
and
my
we don't know who
father.
these
I
people
would
are.
kill somebody.
Or do you know who these people are?
You better know me. I'm his
Grandkids
daddy.
and kids, man.
Oh, these are your family?
Yes.
That's my grandpa. That's my papa. That's my sister.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. It's my bad.
There's another son.
It's the first time I've ever met you guys.
My name's Darren.
Okay. I'm so
I
sorry.
love my daddy.
So this is, y'all all kin here.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Man,
My father.
I didn't know y'all. Hey, little one. Hey, how's it going?
she's turning 1 tomorrow.
Wow. You got a big family then, don't you?
He does. He really does.
The other kids I got.
Yeah, there's 2 more. 2 more kids he's got. Well,
I thought I was being intimidated. Hey, girl. I thought I was under siege. I didn't know what was happening. Me and him, believe it or not, we're not paranoid schizophrenics, but we do not take things, we are not paranoid schizophrenics, but we do have strong emotions whenever it comes to being cautious. The right word. Cautious. I'm Judy. I'm Judy.
That's my daddy.
I didn't know
What
that.
right is his daddy?
I didn't
soundboard.
know that.
I'm not his
Round sound, I
eyes.
call it.
I didn't know that. Let me turn this recorder off because I'm gonna put it on my Facebook.